Alright, so for the animation of today's video, a subscriber asked me to remake their most recent Flipbook animation, except I'll be animating it normally because I don't have the resources nor the patience to make a Flipbook. Now I didn't play the whole video for two reasons. One is that I didn't want to just basically steal their video, I think you should check it out. And reason number two is that I only showed what I could remake. Anything past what I've shown, I can't make enough sense of it to even try and remake it. Like, we got a clock, and then one of them's dodging the clock, and then he's like tall now, like you get what I mean? Anyways, back to this animation. So you might notice that I'm actually animating just one character at a time. That's the only way I can keep my sanity when making stick fight animations, which I don't usually like to do because they usually require a lot of consistency, which if you've seen one single video on my channel, you would know that's one of my million weaknesses. But regardless, I still tried this anyways because, well, they were subscribed. So to make it a bit easier, I kind of animate it in chunks, right? So this guy that you're seeing me draw now, his name's, well, I'm gonna call him Sword Guy because he's the guy in the animation that's always pulling out a sword. Very creative, I know. But basically the method is to animate a little bit with Sword Guy and then animate a little bit like in another layer with non-Sword Guy. Oh yeah, and then it crashed. If I had $1 for every time this thing crashed during this process, I don't know how many dollars I would have, but it'll be a lot. Now there's two things you might notice about the sword. One is that it looks like a paintbrush, kind of, or maybe like a kitchen knife at best. To be honest, I don't know where I got this strange idea of a sword from. I literally don't know. It looks like a leaf. I did try and make it like a little sharp around the edges, but then in some frames it just looks very round. And two is you'll notice that it looks like he just whips it out of his inventory sometimes. Sometimes he has it, sometimes he doesn't. I do fix that. I do like around like towards the end of the process, I just add the sword in afterwards. It's just right now I'm trying to focus on the movements and all that, you know? Just so you know, the pose I was trying to draw was him grabbing his blade as he landed on his feet. What the fuck? Now here's a little preview so far. And this is the part of the process where I start to animate the other guy in another layer. And in order to avoid any sort of confusion, I just made him a dark red color. So because I'm animating everything on separate layers, including the stuff that they're like throwing at each other like in this animation, I don't actually know how this is all coming together. So you can kind of see me drawing awkward poses and just kind of like hoping for the best, right? Just hoping that it doesn't get in the way of the effects or the whatever I'm adding on top. In hindsight, not the best or most effective method, but I mean, it is what it is. Alright, so now basically caught up with the red stick man, let's give this another look. You know, considering I'm animating this like an actual moron, I can't complain. I think it's coming together alright so far. Now next is like this little camera spin motion thing. Right before Sword Guy basically does this like little dash attack into the red guy. I mean, nothing too complicated considering like the bulk of the work is like drawing the pose on like the right side and then just like flipping it. You know, nothing too crazy, but also a little bit of a time saving tip for you as well, if you want to use it, if you care. No? Okay. So this is where the camera swings towards his face and then he starts smiling or whatever. I wanted to add a little extra movement to this part, and it felt weird just moving his torso and his head. So I also kind of had him like raise his arms a little bit too, just as part of the movement. So I don't know if that looks weird or not, but I just thought I'd explain that. Also, don't ask why he suddenly has a mouth. He just does, alright? Now because I basically can't continue without the red stickman, I hopped into the red stickman layer and just started like catching up with his animation. After getting basically dashed through by sword guy, I make the red guy go through a dramatic dramatic slow falling motion. Now in the original something does happen here before he falls, but I can't tell exactly what, so I had to change that to just make him fall. So I promise it's not because I'm lazy. Well, I mean I am, but I'm just saying that's not why. And now that I've caught up with the red stickman, we can actually continue the animation. Now it's to animate the punch, which I animated more in a normal, like, animated style, not in the regular stickman format kind of thing, you know what I mean? I animated it, as you can see, like in a separate camera angle, just to kind of switch things up, you know? And obviously to give the punch some extra oomph, you like oomph, also just because I think they look cool, I'm going to add 2 smear frames, for one of which the fist is going to be like right up in the camera, almost as if you're watching from like sword guy's perspective, you know, you're watching him get cooked in first person. I forgot to record them, but you can see them. I had to add the impact frames in there, you already know that. No punch is complete without an impact frame. Or 2. Now we're going to animate the actual impact of the punch, which is basically sword guy getting like blown back by the punch itself, right? And we're going for a long shot because 1, that's kind of what they did in the Flipbook, and 2, it just seems appropriate for something like this. I'm starting off with dust, or smoke, or whatever you want to call this. Now I kind of have it flowing in the opposite direction of where a sword guy is being launched. I just kind of think it looks cool, and my logic behind it is... Why are you still listening? That's bold of you to assume that there's a logic behind anything that I do. And now we move on to the debris. Now I made the debris fly like in the opposite direction that the smoke is in, because it's being caused by somebody flying back in that direction. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I don't know, as you're about to see, I think it turned out alright. And now it's finally time to add the things that they're throwing at each other. What are they actually? I don't know. I'm inclined to believe they're actual like throwable items, but at the same time I also kind of see sword guy just summon them out of thin air. That's the kind of logic that I like. So I'm just going to call them things. We finally get to add the things. And because sword guy is sword guy, I obviously have to give him a sword. At first when I did it, I thought it was a little bit ridiculous. I just kind of thought like, well, he's an animated character, he can just pull it out whenever he wants. I still kind of think it looks a little ridiculous, but at the same time, it kind of just makes sense, and also in the Flipbook he always has a sword on him. But luckily it didn't take too much time. Aside from a few frames, I was able to just draw the sword on one frame and then just like copy and paste it for the rest. And obviously to top everything off, I'm going to add wind effects to the punch impact, just so you can tell that, you know, high speed things are going on. At least I think that's what it does anyways.